I did my project on disbudding and dehorning of bovine horns. So I first wanted to discuss what the composition of horns are and their significance to the bovine themselves. So horns are actually the corneal processes, which are an outgrowth of the frontal bone with an inner corneal diverticulum, which is a part of the larger frontal sinus of the bovine. So they become evident around 6 months of age and become the prominent horn features that are well known. And these sizes change based on shape, size, and wear of the bovine. They are made up of periosteum, dermis, and epidermis, and are very well vascularized. You can see here that the common carotid branches into the external carotid, into the superficial temporal, and then into the corneal arteries themselves to feed the corneal processes. They are innervated by the corneal nerve, which is a branch of the zygomatico-temporal division of the maxillary division of the cranial nerve 5, which is a trigeminal nerve. And it starts near the orbit of the eye, following the temporal line of the frontal bone into the corneal processes themselves. The function of this is pain and touch sensation to the corneal processes and the underlying and overlying epidermis near the horns. And how to locate that for a corneal nerve block, which will aid in disbudding and dehorning, would be to look near the zygomatic arch. And you'll want to look midway between the lateral canthus of the eye and the base of the horn and aim for midway between there. You want to do the regional anesthesia near the nerve, but not on the nerve, to bathe the nerve in the block. And what is disbudding and dehorning, and why is it done? Disbudding is destruction of the growth tissue before they can become the full corneal nerve processes, and then dehorning is removing the horns themselves once they have developed into the corneal processes. This is done to reduce the risk of injury to calves themselves, others around them, and also workers. It also has some economic importance to the farmers, as it reduces bruising of the carcasses, which would decrease their production value. When this is done is as early as possible, so 24 hours to 2 weeks for the disbudding, and the dehorning is done preferably within 3 months of the animal's life. Benefits of using a corneal nerve block would be pain management and aiding in animal welfare. When a corneal nerve block was used before doing both disbudding or dehorning, there was a 50% reduction in escape behaviors with the calves, such as head shaking, trying to get out of the enclosure, and defecation. There are many methods to do this. The two I focused on for disbudding were hot caustic cautery and caustic paste. So with the hot iron cautery, this is the more preferred method, as it just sears off the growth tissue before they can form the corneal nerve processes. According to a study done in 2019 by UW-Madison, they're trying to go away from the caustic paste, as it seems to have a lot of secondary issues such as destruction of skin that is not intended to be burned off, and then sometimes secondary ingestion of the caustic paste by other calves in their same enclosure. Dehorning is done by a mechanical remover, which I'll play a video. And it's usually done with a surgical wire to remove the horns themselves, and then gauze is put in to fill the frontal sinus, and antiseptic is put on around the area to make sure that no secondary infections cause an issue for the bovine after this. And there is some room for improvement. So 94% of U.S. dairy operations do disbud or dehorn their calves, but only 17 to 30% use a corneal nerve block. There are many reasons for this, such as time restraints for farmers, additional expenses, but the majority of the reasons why this was not used, I found, was that there is a lot of secondary innervation and biological variation of where the nerve is located, so it doesn't always work, and full desensitization is not always achieved. So they were looking into it, and the infratrochlear nerve has a corneal branch which provides secondary innervation to the corneal processes. So by doing a regional anesthesia of both of these nerves, full desensitization was achieved. So this is something that should be known for future disbudding and dehorning procedures, so that there's the best benefit to the farmer and also to the bovine.